Ridge Motorsports Park and our all-day exclusive coverage here on MotoAmerica Live Plus. It is the 10th anniversary season of the MotoAmerica Championship, and this weekend we have had some changing conditions. You can see the clouds overhead here at the racetrack, but so far this rain is held off, and we are getting ready for another day of racing for Stock 1000, their second race here of the weekend. See everyone on their grid position. Sighting lap has already completed. Roger, let's take a look back at yesterday.
Yeah, race one was in the drive for these guys in Stock 1000. Hayden Gillum has a great start from pole position there at the new outright track record. Jason Uribe, great start for him, and early on Andrew Lee was riding really well. Ashton Yates, Benjamin Smith, these three had their own little battle. Throughout the whole race, you can see Ashton trying to find a way by. Wasn't able to do it there through turn 6. He was looking, then he tries to move down into here. And this is an incredible pass down into turn 8. Full commitment down into there. I think he surprised Andrew Lee a little bit. See here, they got held up by a lap in here, and Andrew Lee was able to make the pass back. But for Ashton, he knew this was his opportunity to make this pass. There was only a couple laps left down into this race. He wanted to get in front there in this battle. Knew he had a little bit of a pace. He's running out of grip as well, as he mentioned, but you can see the lead Hayden Gillum has as this race was winding down. Hayden, new track record, new outright race record, just on fire. Jason Uribe kept Hayden honest that whole race, and that was a great ride by Jason. But Hayden Gillum now, he's just been on fire so far this year, and you see as the points come up there, he has a 21-point lead on Jason Uribe now.
For Ashton Yates, that podium result yesterday was able to keep himself right there solidly in the conversation. 29 points outside of Hayden Gillum. You get 25 points for a win. So there is certainly some ground to make up. We only have, 5 races remaining here in the Stock 1000 Championship this season. So it is time to get to work. And with that, we'll go ahead and send it down to the grid and Michael Hill.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. Thank you to Roger as well. I'm down here on the grid. It's a busy grid. The grid is exactly the same as yesterday. We don't have reverse grids. We don't have grids by fastest lap. So everything that these guys did in qualifying determines the grid for race 1 and race 2. I'm down here just on the outside of the second row of the grid. This is Nolan Lampkin, and he has had a pretty good weekend in race conditions. We saw him briefly during Mike on the mic, looking very calm, very relaxed, very composed. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling good, excited to get race 2 kicked off. Yesterday we had a good race, knew some things we were working on, and yeah, should be a good one. Thank you to Visit Indiana, Tom with Power Sports, and yeah, should be a fun one.
Excellent, we'll let you get back. I could see he was focusing just before. I never want to just go and stick a camera in someone's face. I want to move across then to Andrew Lee, who is down here in this Motorsport Exotica BMW, getting stronger and stronger. The package getting better and better all the time, and it's great to see Andrew back at the sharp end. How are you feeling going into this one? You were close to the podium yesterday.
Yeah, today is just going to be a continuation of what we had yesterday. Try to get a good start and see if we can hold these boys off this time.
Okay, we'll let you get ready. As you can see, Andrew getting the gloves on. We're going to move across then to the rider. We'll start from 4th position, top Yamaha, as he has been on more than one occasion this season. This is Benjamin Smith. He's just putting on the helmet here, so we'll give him a second to do that. And of course, full focus is about to come into play for all of these riders. Benjamin just getting his hair out of his eyes just so we can see. And we'll just give him a second to fasten up that helmet strap, just making sure that everything is ready. The front stand is taken off. That's why the bike just dropped down. Ben, very quickly, I know you're getting ready. How are you feeling? Feeling good?
Yeah, ready to get this thing rolling. Have another good race like yesterday. Stay in that podium battle.
Good job, thank you. Short and sweet, that's how we like it. Right, we're going to get a bit of a haul on here along the front row of the grid. We're not going to get a chance, I think, to talk to all three. This is Ashton Yates. He will start from the outside of the front row of the grid. We're going to move forward then into the middle of the front two and the two championship rivals. This is Jason Uribe. And again, the camera will just move across here. Jason Uribe, the winner of race 2 in Brainerd, second place yesterday. He is the rider, the only rider on the grid in the last 2 races that has been able to take the fight to the championship leader, Hayden Gillum. He's getting the helmet on there, the gloves going on as well. And custom gloves there because of a previous injury. You can see him laughing. Very relaxed on the grid is Jason Uribe. And I think we are going to probably get one quick word with the man of the moment, the defending champion. And this is Hayden Gillum. He has been on fire all weekend. His rivals are behind him, but this is the guy with the target on his back. You've got a clear view, Hayden, down into turn 1. Very, very nice conditions today. No chance of rain. How are you feeling?
Good. Just
plan is to get a good start and run the race like we did yesterday. I'm sure Jason's going to be right there. I'm sure Ashton and them are going to be trying to latch on, and yeah, we're I don't know, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. The weather's beautiful. This wind will be a little tricky maybe, but we'll see.
Excellent. And if the camera can just have a look down here, this is the view that Hayden Gillim has down into turn number 1. We've got 1 minute to go until they're going to head down in towards turn 1. It is Ashton Yates starting third, Jason Uribe alongside him, but it's poleman Hayden Gillim. Stock 1000 race 2 is about to get underway. I'm jumping over the wall, Jamie. Hopefully I don't high side on the other side. Back to you upstairs.
Yes, thank you for that. Even with the windscreen on that microphone, we could still hear the wind blowing. And Roger, you heard Hayden reference it. What effect will that have on these riders?
I think they'll just feel it a little bit, and it depends on which corner you feel it. If it pushes you into maybe that first chicane, you know, I think once these guys get going, they won't feel it as much. When you're sitting there on the grid, you feel it because you're just sitting there. Once they get going, they won't feel it too much. But you can see, look at the grass back there. I mean, it's blowing really well. So if it's blowing you behind, you know, it'll blow you into that chicane. So those are those places where you got to be careful. And then you think about long turns like turn 6. If it's blowing from the inside out, it'll be trying to blow you off the line a little bit.
Yeah, you could see it there on the flag as well. The green flag now waving for this warm-up lap. We are getting close to racing here for Stock 1000.
MotoAmerica Stock 1000 coverage is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
What a cool shot of, that's Roland Sands.
Yeah.
He was just in there in the booth with us, now cruising through the paddock on his 2 wheels himself. As they finish out this lap, Roger, take us around the Ridge Motorsports Park.
Yeah, this is a tough track on these big 1000s here. Not a lot of places to get a rest. As we see the track map come up, there's not very many long straightaways. You hear a lot of these riders talking about how physical it is, and you can see here on the map, there's nowhere to really rest all the way through turn 1. Flows really well all the way down to turn 6, down into turn 8. Really hard braking down into there. Turn 9 on these 1000s is so fast up over that hill. 11, 12, down into 13. From there, the track goes downhill into 15 through 16 onto the front straightaway. It's a really tricky track for these guys.
And one that not a lot of these Stock 1000 riders have a ton of experience with. Stock 1000 did not race here last season. Last time out was 2022. So some of them weren't with us back in 2022, and they've had to get as much experience here this weekend as possible. As we go ahead and take a look at the starting grid and how they're all going to line back up on their spots. Our pole sitter, there he is, Hayden Gillim, carrying that number 1 plate, but Jason Uribe right alongside him.
Yeah, and great start for Ashton Yates as well. Benjamin Smith, Andrew Lee, and Nolan Lampkin.
Going back to row number 3, you have Travis Wyman. He said they've been working on some dry weather setups and hoping to make some gains today. Richard Kerr doing the same, and Bryce Prince came into the weekend strong in the championship standings, looking to rebound and get himself back onto the podium.
Row 5, Bradley Ward, glad to see him back in MotoAmerica. JC Camacho and Anthony Norton.
Going back to row number 7, you've got Tyler Bingford, Dan Dickerman, John Knowles, Manuel Segura, Steven Shakespeare, and we have Joseph Giannotto back there on row number 8. Mike Bishop rounding out our 25 rider field. As you now see bikes on their marks, red flag still up there at the head of the grid. As soon as he runs away, that means we are timed to start the progression of getting to the lights. Here in MotoAmerica competition, if you're new to it, the riders all looking at the starting lights there on the side of the track. As soon as the lights come on, the revs are going to go up. And it looks like we're still waiting. There's the green flag at the back of the field. That means we're all good from back here. Go ahead and get out of the way. It is time for Stock 1000, race number 2, officially the halfway point of this 10-race championship.
Another great start for Hayden Gillim for Poba. You can see gets in a little bit deep, able to hold the line.
And another rider going deep right off of the racetrack. Did you see? It's hard to tell who that is.
It's kind of hard to tell from there. You see Hayden Gillim, Jason Uribe, another great start for him. He wants to latch on to Hayden just like he did yesterday. Ashton Yates, Benjamin Smith, Hayden knows these guys are going to try to be aggressive with him early, knowing he's got the pace and they do not want to let him get away.
No, and it's not just the pace that he has, but he's able to consistently be quicker. But Jason Uribe, you said it, he doesn't want to let him get away, and he is right there on that rear tire of Hayden Gillum. We now know that it was Andrew Lee from the 5th place starting position. He was the rider that went wide and is now rejoined at the tail end of the field.
These top 4 have really latched together there. You can see they're starting to pull away from the rest of the group, Richard Kerr and Nolan Lampkin. But like Hayden said, these guys were going to try to latch on, and so far they have.
That was one of the things that Hayden has been so aware of as he is in defense of this championship, is the fact that each weekend the rest of the competition will continue to get closer and closer. He can by no way just rest on the success that he's been able to enjoy. He has to be smart. He's got to be calculated and control the race at a pace that he's able to run while still managing the tire. Let everybody else push it.
Yeah, and he got into turn 13 there a little bit deep, making a mistake. Hayden's in a tough spot. We see a crash right here, 2 riders. You see the corner worker running over there, number 52, John Knowles, is one of the riders down. I'm not sure if it was another one or just John.
It looked like there might have been it looked like there was a second bike there. We didn't see a second rider, so I'm not sure what is unfolded, but we are still under green here at the Ridge Motorsports Park, working lap number 2 of a 13-lap race, and you can see that gap that Hayden Gillum has now. It was so close when they crossed the line, but he is just stellar through this first sector.
Yeah, through that first chicane, he's really quick through there, but then when we get to turns 3, 4, and 5, it looks like Jason's able to close up that gap, and Ashton as well. These 3 are going to be on top of each other headed into turn 6.
Jason Uribe, the only other rider besides Hayden Gillum able to win this season, and it was in the second race back at Brainerd Motorsports Park. He found the top step of the podium. Hayden had his own issue, a big crash, and the team had to completely rebuild that bike in the last 2 weeks in between the 2 rounds. So a lot of work has gone into it, but they have proven that this bike is just as good as it was before it went down.
Yeah, and just the consistency that he's had. And that's what's so great about having a great team like Hayden has. You can jump on the bike knowing they rebuilt it, and you don't have to worry about it. You see Hayden there gets a really good run off the corners on the Honda. And this last lap into turn 13, it's hard when you're leading. He made a mistake the previous lap, and he's in a little deep again. You see that he's having trouble getting it slowed down.
Benjamin Smith, been that top Yamaha, as Michael referenced when he was out on that grid walk, and that whole team has been working tirelessly to be able to continue to give Benjamin a bike that he's able to keep growing and building with, and he's proving today that he's got a little more pace and more consistency than what we've seen.
Yeah, just a tough first day for Benjamin not being here, and then had those issues and didn't get a lot of laps, and that's tough for a track you don't have a lot of laps at. But Ben's doing a really good job right now there, holding 4th down. And see Hayden pulls out a little bit through that chicane again, but through here Jason Uribe just carries so much corner speed through it, out of turn 5 all the way up to turn 6. He's able to close it back down.
That last lap by Hayden Gillum was a 1:41.9. Jason Uribe, the only other rider also in that 1:41 race pace range, but that's what it's going to take, is those 1:41s. That's what won the race yesterday for Hayden Gillum, was being able to just consistently put all of those laps together. The test is going to come for Jason Uribe to see if they were able to figure out enough overnight to be able to have the same thing.
Yeah, yesterday's race they were able to do the same lap times early on. Hayden was able to do it throughout the whole race, so we'll see if Jason's going to be able, even when this race gets to halfway and on, if he's able to continue that 41 lap time. Yesterday the best lap of the race by Hayden was a 41.4, last lap 41.9.
Watching the Orange Cat Racing team. This is the Jason Uribe's team watching on as
Hayden's down.
Hayden has gone down. Jason Uribe was right there. See him running back to the bike.
The intensity of this race is going to change for these guys. We've seen this at Brainerd, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. You know, instead of fighting for that last podium spot, now these guys are all fighting for wins. Come down the hill, turn 13, down into 14, just loses the front end. You can see how fast that downhill is there. It puts a lot of weight on the front end.
You said there a couple laps ago that it looked like Hayden was just having a hard time getting the bike slowed.
See, he was all the way out on the curb on the exit there. That all started out through turn 13, just having issues getting the bike slowed down, putting him off line down into 14.
So now look at the front of the field. You saw Jason Uribe there, Ashton Yates, but here is Hayden Gillum back on the bike, getting back up to speed, being shown right now down in 14th. If you're new to MotoAmerica competition, we award points through 15th place. So Hayden Gillum's got some work to do now to get himself back up there, but Jason Uribe leading Ashton Yates. Benjamin Smith saw it all unfold in front of him, and he knows that he's now in contention for a podium.
Yeah, these three here have really closed up, and it's kind of a different race at Brainerd. We see Ashton leading the pack and Jason following, and this weekend we see Jason. He's got a lot of laps around here, and he's going to be comfortable leading this race.
Ultimately, it comes down to being able to control it. He was there putting the pressure on Hayden Gillum, and now he's taken over control of this race. But Ashton Yates, that team has worked throughout the weekend, each and every session. They were able to improve in qualifying, be able to start this race there on the front row, and he's certainly shown some progression in picking up pace.
Yeah, and just shown that consistency each race weekend now for Ashton. He's been riding so well this year. You see how much he closes up on the brakes through the chicane. The hard part when you do that is getting a good drive out of the chicane. BMW is so good off the corner.
Yeah, he's had 3 podium results in a row when we go back to the first race back at Brainerd just a couple of weeks ago. So it's been a really solid 2-week run for Ashton Yates. He's now looking behind Jason Uribe, and this is one of the strengths that these riders are able to have. When you're sitting in second, you can see what your leader is doing, but you can also push them into working a little bit too hard.
Exactly, kind of like what Jason did early on the race to Hayden, just applying that pressure and trying to force them into a mistake, and now Ashton's trying to do that, and also Benjamin Smith as well. Ben is riding really well right now. If any of these guys make a mistake, he's going to be there.
We're now on lap 5 of a 13-lap race. Again, Stock 1000 yesterday, they were able to complete their 13 laps in dry conditions. The last race to do so, I guess Super Sport, those were dry conditions also, but there was some mist in the air. It had a little bit of a slower pace, but Stock 1000, it's a little bit warmer than it was at this point yesterday, but they're getting very similar race conditions.
Very close, and their lap times have been really close, you know, with the 41 and the best, but the race pace is a little bit slower today, and I think a lot of it has to do with the track temperature being up. You can see how sunny it is. When the track temperature's up, the grip's not as well, and then also Hayden able to set that pace. But these guys are being really consistent.
You know, when Hayden Gillum is up there and they know how quick that bike can consistently be, they all have to push in to follow in order to stay there. But Hayden is now working himself through traffic, still being shown in 14th. At the moment, actually, I take that back. He has moved up to 12th, just hasn't crossed the stripe quite yet. But for Hayden, he certainly has some work to do, and we are now working lap number 6, so he's starting to run out of time. But Jason Uribe, we mentioned when Hayden was in front of him how much better Hayden was through that chicane, but I think Jason was taking notes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's been able to follow Hayden, you know, yesterday's race and then early on and this one, and be able to pick up a few things. You know, I think a lot of it's that home track that Jason knows as well as these riders. Just seems like each one kind of has their spot where one is better than the other, and now Ashton has a great opportunity to sit there and see where he is stronger as this race winds down.
Just as something to keep in mind as this race continues on, and we're almost at the halfway point for it. Hayden Gillum, who started off as our pole sitter, if you missed it, went down, but he was able to get back up. He is now down in 12th place. The last lap by Hayden Gillum did a 1:42.3. So after picking that bike up, he is still running those same lap times that we saw him able to win the race with yesterday. The rest of the field in front of him, they're going to have to watch out.
Yeah, he's going to come through, and he's going to be aggressive because he's going to try to make up as many points as possible during this race. But it was great for Hayden to run over there and get the bike up and try to get back in there, get as many points as possible. As you see through this last part of the track, it just seems like these three really bunch up through there.
We had Jason Uribe on our preview show earlier this weekend. That is still on demand on MotoAmerica Live Plus. You can watch that. He had some interesting things to say about being back here for the full championship season, and just the competition level that's here in Stock 1000 and the opportunity to be able to come out and compete with everybody each weekend, it was something he was certainly looking forward to.
And not only that, being able to get on a good team and a good bike has been huge for Jason. It's great to see him back, and all these guys able to, such a competitive class, able to push each other each race weekend. And yesterday's race about this time, Ashton Yates started losing a little bit of grip, he mentioned on the podium, so it's going to be interesting to see if those changes they made overnight, if he's going to have a little bit more grip today as this race goes on.
You see the live running of the championship points were just there on the right-hand side of your screen. That's factoring in the fact that Hayden Gillum currently being scored down in 10th place. So for him, he would still have the lead, but it's down to only 2 points. Let's get down to Michael Hill.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. A really enthralling race this, isn't it, between the BMW, the Honda, and the Yamaha. But just keep your eyes on the rider that's currently in 4th position. He's not gaining on this leading three, but as we've already seen with Hayden Gillum's demise early in this race, anything can and probably will happen in MotoAmerica Stock 1000 this year. If anything goes wrong, this guy here from Ireland, Richard Kerr, will be there to pick up the pieces, Roger. This is a great ride from Richard Kerr, under a lot of pressure at the minute from Nolan Lampkin, but they're working together well. They're not disrupting each other. Either one of these two could be on the podium if something else goes wrong at the front.
Yeah, and they're doing a really good job there, 4th and 5th. Nolan Lampkin's trying to keep the pressure on Richard there. And yeah, they're doing really competitive lap times as this battle heats up toward the end of the race. If somebody else makes a mistake, they're going to be there to capitalize.
Ashton Yates sitting there in 2nd, looking back through the race results here historically in Stock 1000. Ashton Yates is right there on the back sitting in 2nd, but he's looking for his first Stock 1000 win.
Yeah, and here you see Hayden Gillum there. Pit board letting him know 6 laps left. He's in 10th place, so he's going to know where he's at. That's the only communication these guys have. There's no radio communication, so Hayden now knows exactly how many laps are left. He knows what place that he's in.
See Nolan Lampkin there being shown in 5th on the scoring pylon. We heard from him out on the starting grid looking to build on some of the things that they were working on yesterday, and it's good to see him still up there inside of the top 5. But look at the gap that Jason Uribe has now over Ashton Yates.
Yeah, Jason has picked up the pace. It hasn't did his personal best lap, but the last lap was a 42.3. Previous laps were kind of in the higher 42s, and it seems like once he lowered the pace a little bit as the race winds down, he's able to pull out almost about a 2nd gap.
Quickest bike out on the racetrack right now, though, continues to be our pole sitter. Hayden Gillum just did a 1:41.9. The problem for Hayden is he is 19.5 seconds back of this lead pack right now, and you do the math there on how much quicker. It's only a 2nd a lap, and we only have 6 laps left, so he's going to have to make some moves, and it's not going to come down to pace. It's going to come down to being able to ride it.
Yeah, and the thing for Hayden now is just try to pick up points and as many as possible and not throw it down the road again, trying to push too hard and just try to take what you can get, salvage a bad day. We'll see Jason Uribe, another 42.3, just so consistent. Pulled out another half a second that lap on this battle.
But that's the thing about Jason Uribe. What he understands when he's in control of the race is he doesn't have to push it as hard as what he does when someone else is in front of him. He's able to run his own pace that he knows he can repeat, and that's what we're seeing, these mid-142s. He knows that's a pace he can run, and he also knows that he doesn't have the pressure right there on his rear tire from Ashton Yates.
And then he comes around, he sees his pit board, seeing he's pulling out a half a second a lap. He can kind of breathe a little bit. A 2.5 seconds not a lot, but for Jason, just the consistency he has shown in practice, even in the warm-up this morning, and he's just shown it here in the race as well.
The rider that cannot take a breath right now is Ashton Yates. Benjamin Smith has closed this battle down to less than 0.2 of a second in terms of track position, but one little mistake and that 0.2 goes away really fast. Benjamin Smith is pushing hard to get up into 2nd place.
Yeah, Ben is right there if Ashton makes a mistake, and sometimes in this corner you see how they drift up a little bit toward the end of the race. You do that, can open the door on the inside there. We see Ashton, you can see the Honda off the corner starting to struggle a little bit, the rear end moving around. You see that, struggling for grip.
And the other rider that sees that is Benjamin Smith.
Yeah.
He's going to know what he has left, and you can see that he has a little bit more stability, but look at that gap Jason Uribe has now over 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, and you'll see this next lap for Jason, just the way he's able to click these laps off is just so impressive. It's going to be close to a 2-second lead as they come around now. Ashton, you see what his pit board tells him. P2 plus 0.2, that means the gap to the rider behind you. So Ashton knows he's going to be able to hear him, and he's also going to see his pit board that Benjamin Smith is right there.
In the case of Jason Uribe, when he comes by and he sees that he's now built that up to over 3 seconds, when he's so hungry for another victory and he understands after watching Hayden go down that this is a big points day for him, are you as a rider able to allow yourself to breathe, or do you continue pushing until you see the checkered flag?
You can continue pushing until you get to about what the gap that he has now. He has about 3 seconds. He was 2 seconds out. You see Benjamin Smith now trying to make a move there into turn 6. Wasn't close enough, but he did push Ashton a little bit wide there, and he's able to make the pass.
That was that studying we were talking about. You called it. Ashton Yates was starting to slide just a little bit. Benjamin Smith able to slide himself right in there and take advantage. So you see now on the scoring pylon, Hayden Gillum has moved up into 7th.
It's going to make a couple, maybe another spot as well as the race moves on, and especially with the Ashton now losing a spot to Benjamin Smith. That's going to take a couple points away from Ashton as well. That last lap, Jason Uribe was almost 2 seconds quicker than this battle behind him.
Jason Uribe now coming through traffic, and you look at the live points as they stand. Hayden Gillum in 7th right now would still maintain the championship lead, but it is by 5 points if Jason Uribe continues to hold on and earn the 25 here today. For a 7th place finish, Hayden Gillum still gets 9, and he had already had a big enough gap that he maintains the lead. See Benjamin Smith continuing there in 2nd, settling in just a little bit ahead of Ashton Yates, who continues to be in contention for that position. And they've got a pretty good gap now over the 4th place rider of Richard Kerr that we were talking about there with Michael. What a great run for Richard Kerr.
Yeah, great run for Richard, and Nolan Lampkin as well. Bryce Prince has caught that battle. And you see Hayden, that battle from 4th is not that far ahead of him with his lap time. His last lap was a 42.3. Richard Kerr did a 44.2. That's 2 seconds. He could possibly close that down as this race winds down.
Yeah, for Hayden Gillum, the biggest gap right now is the one that's right in front of him. He's 5 seconds behind Bryce Prince when they cross the stripe, but from Bryce up to get into 4th place, it's only another, 9/10 of a second. So, but that's just in terms of lap time and where they're at when they cross the stripe. For Hayden, it's head down and just look forward. He knows what the mark is.
Yeah, and he can see that he's catching them, and it's a tough spot. You want to make up as many points as possible and catch that group, but you can't really at this point afford another mistake. But it's just been really impressive to watch Hayden come through the pack.
I said it was 5 seconds between him and Bryce Prince. As you see that plus 4.5, that was after the first sector of the racetrack. Hayden was already able to take away half a second.
Just so fast through that first chicane and through that first part of the track all the way through turn 6. Now we're into that 2nd sector, and looks like he's going to be going through there quicker again.
Now down to just over 4 seconds for Hayden Gillum as we go back up front to Jason Uribe. It was only 3 seconds. Now he's got a nearly 6-second gap over Benjamin Smith, who continues to sit in 2nd place over Ashton Yates, who sitting in 3rd. Had a great start to this race, but Benjamin Smith ultimately was able to take over that position.
Yeah, and Jason Uribe, we talk a lot about, the race pace, and he's been able to do these low 142s for the last 5 or 6 laps, and that is what broke this race, is when he's able to get down there, those low 42s with a couple laps on his tires, and consistently each lap run that pace.
Tell you who's continuing to improve, though, in terms of relation to everybody else, is Richard Kerr. He's sitting in 4th. There's a pretty decent gap to get himself into contention for a podium, but each lap of this race, to Michael's point earlier, he's continuing to improve. But Jason Uribe just not putting a wheel wrong at this point and just hitting the marks that he knows he needs to hit as he goes for his 2nd win of the season.
Yeah, and not making any mistakes and leading the way. He's been leading it, and Jason's been doing a great job in this race. And it was all the work. You see the stress, the nerves from the team, and for Jason, the pressure that he is feeling right now, his home race, and he's leading the race. You go back to the race that he won at Brainerd, he made the move on the last lap to win that race. This race is totally different. He's here at the front, setting the pace in front of his home crowd.
What a great track it is here at the Ridge Motorsports Park. You talk about it being tight and technical, but those elevation changes, it really makes for great spectating also.
Yeah, great spectating, and for the riders as well. It's just so fun with the elevations. Jason Uribe's only got to do one more lap. He's still in the mid 142 range, 7.5 second lead. Now in the last lap, Benjamin Smith's going to come across the line second, Ashton Yates third.
On this final lap of the 13-lap race here, race number 2 for Stock 1000. Officially into the second half of their championship season, and Jason Uribe very quickly letting everyone know that this thing is anything but over. Hayden Gillum may have his own 4 victories, but Jason Uribe is doing everything he can, not making any mistakes on this final lap to get his second.
Not making any mistakes today. Last race as well, when he won the race, he's able to get out there, be consistent. He talked about his confidence has been growing as this season has winding on, and you can see it in his riding as well. And when as many races as he keeps winning and getting on podiums, that confidence is just going to continue to grow. And Hayden Gillum now is only a second behind Bryce Prince.
And Hayden Gillum has made that pass around Bryce Prince, just as you went to say that, Roger. So Hayden Gillum now up into 6th place and knocking on the door of Nolan Lampkin. But up front, it is all about Jason Uribe. He put his head down as soon as he saw the moment for Hayden Gillum and didn't put a wheel wrong. Able to run the pace that he knew he was capable of running, not having to push the bike, not having to push the tire, doing exactly what he needed to do to control it. Let everybody else fight back behind him. Benjamin Smith able to take advantage of the rear grip that Ashton Yates was looking for and get around him. Now has built a 2-second gap over Ashton Yates, but look at Jason Uribe. Taking the checkered flag and the win. What great audio as he crossed that checkered flag, getting his 2nd win of the season. Here's Benjamin Smith coming across to finish in 2nd. That gap over Ashton Yates to round out our podium, but Hayden Gillum is not finished. See Hayden Gillum just getting around Richard Kerr and Nolan Lampkin. Hayden Gillum all the way up to 4th place after falling off, picking it up, getting back out there in 14th. He was able to ride all the way up to a top 5 result.
Yeah, great ride for Hayden. I mean, he picked up 2 places on that last lap. So, you know, that's just crazy what he's able to do, and it shows the speed that Hayden has, and way to finish the day strong after making that mistake and crashing and coming back all the way to 4th.
Jason Uribe waving to the fans. He said, look, I did it. And the number 75, this is Richard Kerr.
He had problems coming onto the front straightaway. You could see he had his leg out and able to make the the start-finish line, but just luckily he was able to limp it home.
We are being told by race control that they are looking at bike number 1, which is Hayden Gillum, and bike number 75, which is Richard Kerr, for track cuts.
Yeah, after the race, Hayden went through the chicane. You got to make that first corner chicane through there. So, they're going to have camera angles and be able to see that.
To continue to watch Jason Uribe soaking in this moment. He certainly earned this one. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these replays as Jason makes his way over to celebrate in the podium area.
Gets down into Nolan Lampkin there into turn 13. Right there behind Richard Kerr, and you see here he just starts setting up the pace. Here it kind of goes outside to the inside and just rides around the outside of him right here into this last corner. You see Richard Kerr was starting to have a couple problems as well. You see when he comes out of this corner, you're going to see his foot go out to slow down. But Hayden Gillum, great ride for him there to come back.
MotoAmerica Stock 1000 coverage is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
What a great result. You see the orange cat hat now in the podium area. Taking big smiles all around. It was all about the orange cat rider of Jason Uribe today being able to bring home the victory and taking that win over Benjamin Smith and Ashton Yates, rounding out our podium.
Yeah, Hayden Gillum back in the 4th there. See how that ends up with Nolan Lampkin 5th, Richard Kerr 6th, Bryce Prince 7th, Travis Wyman 8th, Danilo Lewis 9th.
just taking a look at these results. You see Hayden Gillum there in 4th. We have received a message from Nicole Cox up in race control saying that the one bike of Hayden Gillum did cut the chicane. It's going to be a 2-second penalty. When I look at the gaps that are here on the timing and scoring screen, it looks like that might move him back down into 7th place. So that pass around 2 bikes, that may be all for naught. Roger, let's take a look at some of these highlights.
Yeah, highlights race 2 there. We were just talking about Hayden Gillum there, pole position. A great start for him again today. Ashton Yates and Jason Uribe. You see Andrew Lee with the mistake through that chicane on the first lap, really tight through there. Hayden was out front early, but you can see this lead group was really trying to latch on to Hayden today. Benjamin Smith was in that battle as well, these top 4. Jason Uribe was hanging on to Hayden as long as possible, and Hayden made a mistake, crashing out of the lead, the championship leader. Another crash for him. From there, Jason Uribe had the lead. Ashton Yates right behind him. Benjamin Smith were all chasing him throughout this race. Benjamin Smith was able to make the move on Ashton as he was running out of grip toward the end of this race. But it was all about Jason Uribe today, able to be so consistently to put those lap times down, able to pull away each lap a couple seconds and get the win in front of the hometown crowd. What a day for Jason.
I love hearing the scream from the crew as he was taking the checkered flag. That is just awesome. You see Hayden Gillum there, able to make the pass around those 2 riders of Nolan Lampkin and Richard Kerr, but it was all about Jason Uribe. Let's go ahead down to the podium with Michael Hill.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. 2 wins out of the last 3 races. The big smile says it all. It's another win for the 360 Orange Cat BMW. And Jason Uribe, you got to start believing now. This championship is on.
Yeah, man, it was a good race. I just tried to be smart and consistent. I knew that we were pushing pretty hard at the front. And as soon as I saw Hayden go down, I just decided to kind of slow up a little bit, try and conserve my body, conserve the bike. And I just kept seeing 0.3 on my board. And that's why I just tried to keep clicking away and made it happen.
Congratulations. A lot of support for Jason Uribe down here in Winner's Circle. A lot of support for this guy too, Ben Smith, top Yamaha once again, and a really, really solid 20 points. That was a really good race, and obviously great battle with Ashton as well.
That was awesome. I mean, I was just saying, I was smiling under my helmet that whole time. Like Jason said, the pace was pretty quick at the beginning there. I think the 4 of us kind of broke away, and I felt like we were rolling pretty good. You know, unfortunately, Hayden has incident, but then again, that opens the door up for us guys. So I just tried to keep my head down, stay consistent. Was behind Ashton for a lot of the race there, just kind of learning, seeing where I was better, where he was better, and made a pass with a couple laps to go. Tried to put my head down and just put a little bit of a gap before we hit those lappers especially, and ended up working out really well. So can't thank the whole Full for Law racing team enough for giving me this amazing Yamaha R1 to put on the box again, and man, I'm having a ton of fun.
Great job. It is great to watch. Another podium then for Ben Smith. And keep that applause going. 3rd manufacturer on the podium. And, of course, Jones Honda, Ashton Yates getting a double podium this weekend. And as Ben said, he was smiling. I'm sure you were as well.
Yeah, it was a fun time. A little bummed because I had some really good pace there in the beginning. And when it dropped off, it was pretty immediate. But I was trying to gather or stay in the position and stay podium position if I could, and managed to make it happen. So I'm stoked with that, stoked with the headway we've made with the bike and stuff, and we just need to figure a few things out and we'll be there, so pretty happy.
Good job, you absolutely should be. Well, Jamie, 3 very happy riders, 3 happy teams, and a whole load of very enthusiastic fans down here. Back to you guys upstairs.
Yes, thank you for that, Michael. I mentioned the fact that Race Control had taken a look at Hayden Gillum and determined that he was cutting the chicane and then have applied a 2-second penalty. So these are the updated Race 2 results. Jason Uribe, Benjamin Smith, Ashton Yates still, of course, our podium finishers, but Nolan Lampkin and Richard Kerr able to hold on to those positions as Hayden Gillum, with those 2 seconds, has moved down into 6th.
Moved down to 6th, but still a good day for Hayden after a crash. Bryce Prince, Travis Wyman there 8th, and Danilo Lewis 9th.
And the impact that had on the championship standings from 4th to 6th is a difference of 3 points that Hayden Gillum lost from that cut of the chicane. So he's still leading the championship over Jason Uribe, but now it's only by 6.
Yeah, really close there, 6 points. And Jason's riding so well right now. Even Ashton Yates only 23 points back. He's riding great, and Benjamin Smith as well, only 27 back.
Nothing changed up front, though, in terms of our 1, 2, and 3. this is official as we watch behind the scenes. Jason Uribe celebrating his second win of the season. A solid day for Ashton Yates and Benjamin Smith. We'll be back with more right after this.